15 years since Ravanos and Elias arrived in New York City. The city is loud and crowded. It can swallow a man whole if he's not careful. New York no longer feels like a promise for Elias. It feels like a machine. Steam, iron, sweat, and shadows, grinding day and night without mercy. In the heart of the 5 Points neighborhood, a saloon shines like a lantern in the fog. Music pours out the doors. Men drift toward it like moths. Inside, the air is thick with smoke and whiskey. Laughter collides with argument. Every table could become its own small war. Money changes hands, and grudges are born. Behind the bar, behind the smiles, behind the velvet curtain, the real business begins. Gambling that can make or ruin a man's night, and sometimes even his life. Down a narrow hallway, women wait in rooms that smell of perfume and regret. The saloon sells comfort, pleasure, illusion, whatever men will pay for. Outside, boys with hard eyes collect protection money from shopkeepers who can barely afford bread. The message is always polite, until it isn't. The man everyone thinks is the owner knows he is only a front. The real power belongs to a shadow figure, one who prowls the city only at night. Above the noise, in a private shadowed balcony, Ravanos watches everything. Silent, patient, untouchable, like a king who never needs to raise his voice. Ravanos has learned the secret of America. You don't need to own the building, you only need to own the debt. And the fear. Elias survived the ship, survived New York, but the innocent traveler is gone. In his place stands a hunter with tired eyes and careful silence. He found work at Crowley Detective Agency, mopping floors at first, running errands, listening to the client's lies, and learning how truth hides in plain sight. Silas Crowley taught him the city's language. Footprints, bruises, nervous hands, missing buttons, every detail mattered, because every detail could be proof of a crime. Years passed. Elias became the man Crowley trusted when a case turned ugly, when someone disappeared, when blood appeared, when fear took hold. But the whole time Elias chased a single ghost, Ravanos, a name that followed him like a curse through every valley and alley and every sleepless night. Sometimes Elias felt him nearby, almost in his grasp, but then the feeling would vanish, leaving only fog and frustration. Crowley didn't believe in monsters. He believed in drunks, thieves, jealous husbands, and greedy men. Vampires were fairy tales for children and fools. So Elias learned to play the patient game. He locked the truth away in the back of his mind, sharpened his detecting skills, and waited for Ravanos to make a mistake. That winter, word spread of a woman who could stop a room with a single note. Men called her a miracle. Women knew she was trouble. Seraphina Vale sang like velvet. Her voice wasn't just beautiful. It was commanding, mysterious, like it reached inside men and turned their thoughts and desires. Every night, the club packed tight. Shoulder to shoulder, breath and heat and whiskey. The men stared up at her like she belonged to the heavens. She smiled and the room softened. Arguments forgotten, wives forgotten, futures forgotten. For a few minutes, everyone belonged to Seraphina. But Seraphina didn't sleep behind the stage like the other girls. She lived uptown, in a penthouse high above the filth, where the city couldn't touch her. There she lived with her grandmother, Rivka, an old-world woman who had always adored her precious girl. Maybe that's why she didn't see the truth for so long. Rivka told herself she was imagining things, but love doesn't make you blind forever, and eventually Rivka began to notice the unnatural patterns. Seraphina never stepped into the sun. Curtains stayed closed, servants whispered, and every morning Rivka ate alone, staring at an empty chair. Worst of all, 10 years passed, and Seraphina didn't age. Not a wrinkle, not a change. Unnatural, unholy. What was wrong with this person? What was wrong with her precious girl? Rivka began watching her granddaughter more carefully, listening at night, checking locks, not praying, investigating. Then one night, fear turned to certainty. Rivka took the key, held her breath, and opened Seraphina's door like she was entering a tomb. The room was too cold, too still. Even the air felt wrong, like it didn't belong to the living world, like death. Rivka reached for the window. If sunlight touched Seraphina's skin, the truth would finally reveal itself, whatever that truth might be. She didn't even lift the window a hand's width before Seraphina appeared behind her, silent, impossible, like the darkness itself had taken human shape. Rivka turned and saw her granddaughter's face change. No warmth, no humanity, only hunger, only survival. The beautiful singer was gone. Something ancient stared back. There was no scream, only the sound of Rivka's candle hitting the floor and the heavy hush that follows when the world ends for one person. By morning, Rivka was dead. Doctors blamed the heart, police blamed the bad luck, servants blamed spirits, but no one had the right answer. Her family demanded justice. They didn't understand what they were asking for, but they paid Crowley's agency to uncover the truth, whatever it cost. When Elias read the report, his stomach tightened. Cold room, closed curtains, a young woman unchanged by time. He had seen this evil before. And when Elias finally saw Seraphina on stage, singing to a crowd under her spell, he didn't hear music, he heard a warning. When the show ended, Elias followed her through the city like a shadow chasing another shadow, careful, distant, certain she would lead him somewhere dark. Elias followed Seraphina through a private entrance until the corridor opened into a hidden office. Ravanos counting money beside Madame Colette. Seraphina entered like she belonged, and Elias understood. She was another of Ravanos's creatures. As Elias slipped back into the corridor and away, a soft voice cut through the smoke. Ravanos didn't turn, he only smiled faintly. "He's here," he murmured, as if he could smell him.